Stitchers, it's Jenny of Jenny Stitches and welcome back to my channel today for week 2 of the Great British Sewing Bee Chit Chat series. So firstly, I'm just going to apologise if there's any banging and crashing during the filming of this video. I do have a good friend and a tradesman upstairs who is repairing some of the ceilings, so there's a fair bit of thumping and banging in the background, so please just bear with me on that front. Okay, so week 2 was sportswear, and another really enjoyable week. It felt as if the time constraints were not quite as wild this time. I've got my tea and ready to get stuck in. So for the pattern challenge this week, we had the half zip fleece. Now I am kicking myself. Last week when we watched the episode, I said to Mr. Stitches, I'm going to wear my half zip sweater whilst I film this video because it will be on point, and I completely forgot this morning. So there we go, I got dressed because it's quite warm. It is a bit warm for a jumper today. However, I'm going to kick off by saying I've made 3 half zipper sweaters in the last sort of 6 months or so, and they've all been using the Wardrobe by Me half zipper sweater pattern. You can get that on PDF, you can get it in paper from other retailers, but I don't have that in at the moment, and I would thoroughly recommend that pattern. It's great. And notice again we are on page 198 of the companion book. We've got the pattern for the unisex fleece here. I'm noticing actually that there's a kangaroo pocket on the front of this one, which wasn't included on last night's episode. But yeah, a great little technical challenge, and I really enjoyed watching it. It's fun. There are quite a lot of elements to a project like that, with the collar and that stitching in the ditch, which personally I would not like to have to do under pressure. I find those things tricky enough when I'm taking all the time in the world. Personally, if I'm arranging a collar that way and stitching in the ditch, I like to hand tack it down first to make sure that it's all lining up exactly where I need it to be. But yeah, some really mixed results. I thought when they first wheeled them all out, they looked great from a distance, but then when they got up close to some of them, it was a bit of a mixed bag. But I'm just going to check. Yes, it was Marcus that won, and his was immaculate, and there was a couple of others in there that were really, really good as well. I thought Alex's was lovely. But yeah, a few upside down zips, and I'm confused as to how so many of them managed to understitch the collar on the wrong side. That's a bafflement, but again, probably down to that time pressure. So in terms of pattern suggestions, apart from the Wardrobe by Me, I've had a quick look in my pattern books, and yet again, simplicity is coming up trumps this week. I want to have issues with simplicity just because the big four are not as great as many of the indie designers, but they do have such a good wide range of patterns, it can't be denied. So I've pulled a few out to show you. I'm going to start with 9828, which is a fairly recent design. And it's shown here in this very, very snuggly sort of Sherpa fleece, but we've got that central half zip and a pocket at the bottom. That goes onto what looks like an elasticated waist rather than the cover stitched hem which they showed last night on the bee. I'm also going to show you 9278. I think this is a nice one, and it does actually show it on the back as the fabric options are for both knits and wovens, so it's got ripstop, poplin and denim down on here as well, so if you wanted a slightly different finish. And you get a set of jogging bottoms on that one as well. I want to sew that pattern up for the joggers. And finally 9191, which is not a half zip, but it does echo that pocket that we saw on last night's episode, and it's a full zip option and a gilet, which I think is actually a really nice sort of twist on this idea and just a lovely pattern. This says men's, but you know, you could wear it for ladies as well. There's absolutely no reason why that couldn't be unisex. I don't have a copy to hand, but I would also throw in there the Friday Pattern Company Pogonit pullover. That's a nice sort of half opening sweater, but poppers I think rather than a zip for that one. Fabrics wise, they didn't actually use fleece. You can use fleece, but they were definitely using sweatshirting. So I've got out my organic soft sweatshirt to show you here. This is what I made my half zipper in that I should be wearing today. And this is lovely and lightweight, plenty of drape in it, so it's nice for your sort of in-between weathers. You can use a thicker, more classic sort of sweatshirting weight fabric, and alpine fleece would be lovely as well with the very fluffy back. But this is my organic soft sweat in coral, and this is this green colourway. Turn these round, and this is the sort of mauve shade, which is the shade that I used for my sweater, and I think the three of those together give actually quite a nice palette for colour blocking from, if you wanted to do something in the style that they did on the bee last night. Oops, I'm just going to move those carefully out of the way. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one, so that was nice to see. I've got that squeaky chair again. I need to remember for next week not to have the squeaky chair. Okay, very briefly to touch on the transformation challenge, because you know how I feel about that, and last night's was just bizarre. I don't know why you would do that with cricket whites, but never mind. So I'm just going to move straight on past that one. It was lovely Alex that won that challenge, so well done to Alex. And on to the made to measure. So a piece of team kit for the Olympics, for a country of their choice. What a fun suggestion, and what a fun idea, and it was lovely to see all the different takes and the stories and the meanings behind that. I really like at this stage in the game when there's so many contestants, there's just loads of different sort of options and things going on, and it's really hard to keep up with who's sewing what. But I think we saw a couple of leotards, we saw a couple of sets of shorts and some leggings and things. Personally, I absolutely loved Pasha's javelin outfit with that printed sort of swirly fabric that she had. I thought the leotard, the Jamaican one with the sequins on, was just stunning. Really, really nice level of finish on these ones, I felt. So, yeah. I'm not sure what I would have done in that situation, what I would have chosen. Probably would have had to have gone away and researched that. But yeah, I thought it was a nice challenge and really sort of showcasing working with some different fabrics. In those situations, in terms of fabrics with the sportswear, you're really talking a high synthetic content to the fabrics that you're using, mostly because that gives the greatest amount of stretch, and because you're gonna wick away sort of sweat and things a lot easier, and it's going to give better movement and form. So for example, if you were to make a leotard out of a cotton jersey, it may sort of bag a little, it's not going to have as high a lycra content to it, and it would show sort of sweat marks and stains and would crumple, whereas synthetics, unfortunately, as much as I don't love synthetics in terms of sportswear, they're ideal. So I don't actually keep a huge amount of synthetic fabrics in if I can help it. I'm not fully against them, I just don't have a massive range of sportswear. I did pull out some lycra to show you. I do have a couple of colours of lycra, and sometimes I get sportswear jerseys that come and go, which tend to be polyester jerseys with quite a high elastane or spandex content. This is lycra, so it's a blend of nylon and spandex, and you can see you've got this lovely fuchsia pink. This can be used for swimwear as well, so it's ideal for items such as leotards or leggings, and you can see that massive amount of stretch that we have on there, and you can snap that back. However, the static is already making my hair stand up. You may remember I used this to make a swimming costume last summer, so that's lycra, and that's the kind of thing that's ideal for the items that we were seeing last night on the challenge. And also I have pulled out these lovely glossy sequins because I felt like I couldn't not mention sequins. I'm going to get covered in them. But there's not a vast amount of stretch on this particular one, so something to watch out for when you are choosing sequin fabrics is they can come on a variety of different meshes, and if you were making one for sports in this situation, you would definitely want a stretch sequin mesh. Not like Luke, who didn't have a stretchy power mesh, bless him, that was a shame. We got the wrong fabric. Finally, as well as the fabrics, I thought I would show you some fold over elastic, which I have in stock. This is great for binding the edges of knit fabrics and for sportswear. You can see if I hold it up there, it's got a line down the middle, and that is literally where you fold it round and encase the raw edge of your fabric within it, and then it acts like a regular elastic for the edges. So that's great for binding the edges of sort of leotards and vests and that kind of thing. Okay, so on to patterns inspired by the final challenge. I have pulled a few out. The first one which sprung to mind for me was New Look 6752, and that is a bodysuit. Obviously I'm going to pop a better picture in to show you. So it has this crossover front detail which really put me in mind of Janet's leotard that she made for the Ukraine. What a lovely finish she had on that as well. It was really, really beautiful. But yes, very similar in style to that one. I also picked out the Friday Pattern Company Elysian, never sure how you say it, bodysuit, because that again is very similar. Essentially I don't really feel there's any difference between a leotard pattern and a bodysuit pattern. They're the same thing in my mind. A swimming costume pattern would also do the same job. I also picked out the Closet Core Plateau joggers, mostly because of the shorts. So if I try and show you up close a little bit better, the shorts on there really put me in mind of those little seersucker shorts that Alex made, which was a shame that they really picked up on the sort of colour theme with that one. I don't think they'd quite got clear enough that she was going more after the Scottish side of things. So that's the plateau. And finally I've pulled out the Megan Nielsen Virginia leggings, which are a nice example of a sporty legging, which would work perfectly with things like the lycra. And you can also make these in a cotton jersey for day-to-day wear if you like. They will work absolutely fine. But yeah, they don't reflect that shape that Pasha had used, had a sort of different seam line rather than a seam down the back, and that was very interesting. And finally, on that note, I'm just going to show you some pictures from my Simplicity book, because I do think they have a lovely range of activewear patterns. So I'm just going to show you this Madeline set here. We've got a sort of bra top and leggings on the go there, and that's really lovely. That is 9620, and then over the page we have sort of yoga, and then we've got sports bras there. That's really lovely. And there's also another pattern to go with that there, which is just exclusively leggings. So as far as base patterns, sorry, that is 8212 and 8561. So as far as basic patterns for sportswear go, they are very good. I don't have a copy to hand, but Cashmerette do their Belmont leggings as well, which are lovely. So, garment of the week was Georgie with her amazing sports bra and shorts with that sort of crossover strap detail that she had. I thought that was really, really unusual and very technical. That was quite a difficult sort of challenge to take on. Very impressed with that one. And then unfortunately we lost Comfort. I thought that Comfort's rugby outfit looked really, really lovely on the model. I think maybe helped by the fact that the model was very attractive. Did anyone else enjoy the modelling last night? But yeah, a shame to lose Comfort. I felt like she probably had a lot more to show than she was able to showcase over the 2 weeks, and it's always sad when somebody doesn't really get a chance to fulfill their potential. But yeah, that takes us down to 10 left over now, I think. Yeah, 10 sewists. So on to next week, which is holidays, which is very pertinent for most of us at the moment because we're coming up to sort of holiday times and a lot of us will be sewing for our summer makes. So I look forward to watching that then. Please let me know what you thought of last night's episode in the comments. I'm gonna tag all of the products that I've mentioned here for you, and yeah, just let me know your thoughts, and I will see you next week. Take care, happy sewing, and bye bye.